Top 5 Big Ten quarterbacks going into the 2025 college football season. I'm excited for this video, you guys. We are going from number 5, working our way all the way down to the number 1 quarterback in the Big Ten. Now, this is a conference that's got a lot of question marks this year. There's a lot of new guys, a little bit of returning experience, very similar to the SEC in my opinion. I think there's a lot of guys we don't really know a ton about that we're going to get to learn about this year, but who are those top 5? Who are the ones that I think are set in stone going to have a good year? Now, let me just preface one thing here before we dive into number 5. I am not compiling a list of the 5 best teams in the Big Ten and then plugging their quarterbacks into those top 5 spots. So I just want to make that clear. I'm not putting Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, and then those 3 quarterbacks and calling it a day. This list is thought through. These are just my opinions. If that's how you seek it out and that's how you think it works, that's completely valid. But with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's dive in. We're going to start at number 5. To spoil it, on the bottom there, Deon Williams, University of Washington quarterback. That's who I have at number 5. Now listen, Deon Williams is young. He did not play a lot, and he sat behind Will Rogers last year at Washington. But here's why I think Deon Williams is the 5th best quarterback in the Big Ten, and why I think he's going to have a huge year this year, you guys. He was 82 for 105 in the games that he did play. There were 5 games he played. One of them, I think he had 1 completion against USC. The 4 games that Deon Williams played, he played stellar, okay? 78% completion percentage, 8 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Now, I was fortunate enough to watch Deon Williams actually play in high school. So I live in Chandler, Arizona. He played at Basha, which is maybe 10 minutes down the street. And even watching him there, I thought, hey, this guy is special. You know, there's absolutely talent levels there that can succeed at the college level. He sits behind Will Rogers, gets his chance at the end of the year. The 2 big games that I was able to watch, both live and then go back and watch the film, were against Oregon in Week 12, last game of the year, the rivalry game, and then against Louisville in their bowl game. Now, Louisville, that game didn't start off well. He threw a pick 6, but he ended up playing extremely well as the game went on. 26 for 32, 374 yards, and 4 touchdowns in that game. So you take away that pick 6, Deon had an incredible game. Now, here's the kicker. They lost that football game. But the biggest issue that they had, and I'll get into it with the Oregon game, was they couldn't run the football. They only ran the football for 98 yards against Louisville in that entire football game. Then you look at the Oregon game, okay? They got blown out of the stadium in this game as well. But Deon Williams was 17 for 20, 201 yards with a touchdown. All right, he was sacked 10 times in that game, 5 times against Louisville. They ran the ball against Oregon. Okay, hear me out. This is incredible. 43 yards on 37 rush attempts against the Ducks. How in the world do you expect to ever win a game like that? And yet Deon Williams had a 17 for 20, 200 yard and 1 touchdown night, being sacked 10 times and running the ball 43 yards as an offense. Look, I think with Jedd Fisch calling the shots and being in a system under Jedd Fisch, I think Deon Williams is poised for a great year. He's got talent outside. They got to get that run game fixed up, though. If they can help him in the run game, give him some protection, I think all the tools are there. I think he is a stud, one of the most slept-on quarterbacks. I want to speak on this. Think about how much success Jedd Fisch had with Noah Fifita down at U of A. All right, and as soon as Jedd Fisch left, we saw the production completely tail off from Fifita over at U of A. So what is an entire offseason? It's Deon Williams' team. What does he do with it? That's what I want to look for. Let's move to number 4. I have Dylan Riola in Nebraska. This one might be debatable. I understand Riola's season last year wasn't great. 275 completions on 410 attempts, 2,819 yards, 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Not a great year. The stats really don't jump off the sheet on that one. They really don't come grab you. But here's the thing I like about Dylan Riola going into this year. Nebraska added talent. They added some talent around him. He's got more pieces at the receiver spot. He's got a good offensive line. They run the ball well enough. And Dana Holgerson's calling the shots now. Before Dana Holgerson took over in November, which was the USC game, Riola went on a 6-game stretch where his completion percentage was under 60%, under 70%. He was right around 60 to 61, 63 in that ballpark, 6 games in a row where they started to slide down. As soon as Dana Holgerson took over, 3 of his last 4 games, he was over 70%. The one game he wasn't, he was at 68.6, and it was a win against Iowa. Probably one of his best games on film all year. He looked poised, he looked calm, he looked mature. He didn't look like a true freshman. Dana Holgerson is going to be a blessing for him. It's year 3 under Matt Rule. He's got a lot of talent coming in. I think this is a big year for Dylan Riola. I think he takes a step forward now, okay? Remember, he was young last year. He's still young. He will be a sophomore this year, but he's going to have a whole offseason with Dana Holgorsen. Coming into this year, I think Dylan Riola is the fourth best quarterback. The stats will look a lot better, and I think Nebraska is poised for a big year alongside him. Let's move to number 3. I have Nico Iamaleava. Let's not forget about Nico Iamaleava, all right? Last year, Nico was 213 completions, 2,616 yards, threw for 19 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. So Nico was effective. He led Tennessee to a playoff spot. And then we all know what happened with the entire NIL debacle. I'm not going to get into it, not even going to express my opinion. But nonetheless, Nico is the quarterback at UCLA. He is talented, friends. Here's the thing. I think a lot of people forget that Nico is 6'6", 205 pounds. Like, I don't know if maybe that's just me. I think when I watched him at Tennessee, he looked smaller just being around so many big bodies. He comes to UCLA. All right. He's still in the Big Ten, but not as tough of a schedule. Not as tough of road games this year for him. The talent level will be a little bit of a question because it's not going to be the same pieces around him, and especially not as effective as a run game that Josh Heupel in Tennessee had for him. But all the tools are in the toolbox for Nico. He's effective with his legs. He's a big stature body that can throw bullets across the middle, and he reads the field well. So listen, I think Nico is going to be great. The biggest success that Nico has going for him this year is Tino Sunseri is now the offensive coordinator at UCLA. Tino Sunseri was the quarterback coach and co-offensive coordinator at Indiana last year. We all know Indiana's season last year. Statistically speaking, they were the number 2 scoring offense in the country last year, and they were the number 1 passing efficiency offense. In terms of passing efficiency rating, they were 179.1. Now, a lot of that credit absolutely goes to Curtis Rourke. He had a great year. I understand the strength of schedule argument and the level of competition, but nonetheless, Tino Sunseri, who was a mastermind over at Indiana, comes to UCLA. He gets Nico Iamaleava, an experienced big body gentleman who is a stud, and I think he's going to be a good quarterback this year. Now look, I'm not looking at UCLA to go win 11 games in order to put Nico as a good quarterback. I think regardless of what they do, he's going to get his. He is very good. I'm excited to see what they do. Number 2, Luke Altmire in Illinois. Illinois won 10 games last year, and Luke Altmire had a great season. All right. 211 completions on 347 attempts, so right around that 60% range. Not amazing, but not bad. 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Doesn't turn the ball over a lot. But here's the big catch with Luke Altmire. He won 10 games last year. They weren't the prettiest. Those stats, again, don't really fly out at you. He's not the flashiest quarterback. He takes care of the ball. He makes plays when he needs to. He has 9 returning starters on offense, including himself. That is almost your entire offense right there. Okay, they bring in guys like Braden Trimble, who's a good receiver recruit. They have more talent to backfill that, but 9 returning starters on an effective offense that won 10 games last year is huge to look out for. Look, Looney and Bielema called great games all year long. They won 10 games. Luke Altmire was a good quarterback. I think he is one of the most calm, poised quarterbacks in the Big Ten. Now listen, they struggled against the big dogs last year, and that makes sense. Comparatively speaking, their talent level to Penn State's talent level, it makes sense. You get it. I understand that. But I think now, with the experience and the maturity that 9 of those guys of the 11 offensive starters last year have, I think this year could look different. That's a dark horse playoff team led by a very good quarterback. With that being said, let's move to our number 1 spot. It's Drew Aller in Penn State. I don't think this one's really going to shock a lot of people. I think a lot of you probably figured Drew Aller would be at number 1, whether you agree or not. I think it's starting to become a consensus ranking for Drew Aller, and it's valid. Drew Aller's stats last year were good. He was 262 completions on 394 attempts, 3,327 yards, most in the conference, at least that I have written down here. Most of the guys we've listed in this top 5 that had snaps last year. 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Here's the thing with Drew Aller, okay? He's 6'5", 240 pounds. I mean, he's an NFL GM's best dream they could ever imagine for a quarterback. He is your stereotypical perfect quarterback build. Drew Aller, he last year, his biggest issue was really decision-making and the lack of just accessibility at the receiver position. But this year, he brings in Devontae Ross, Kyron Hudson, and Trevor Pena. So there is no excuses. I look at it like the Big Ten championship game against Oregon. That was the Drew Aller that I think could be, and in my opinion, as of right now, is the number one quarterback in the Big Ten. The Drew Aller I saw against Notre Dame in the semifinal of the college football playoff is not even a top 5 Big Ten quarterback. The decision-making was terrible. Not one completed pass to a receiver, only 12 completed passes all game. And it just wasn't good. Here's the thing I think catches Drew Aller the most out of anything is he gets in his head. I think he lacks confidence. He lacks nothing else in the world of football. He has a beautiful arm, great throwing motion. He's got great footwork. All the tools are there. I just think he gets in his head and he overthinks. And it just gets so clouded where his reads just go out the window. His confidence is completely shot. But I think another year with Andy Kotelnicki, the returning production that Penn State has, and 3 stud receivers coming in around him, you look at Penn State's schedule, there is no reason that Drew Aller shouldn't be able to have an amazing year this year. Penn State doesn't just have, playoff expectations, they have championship expectations, and it starts with Drew Aller. He has to show up in the big games. He has to play with confidence. He's got to keep that on his shoulders and know that, hey, I'm being talked about as a first-round guy. I got to go out and perform in the big ones. If he does that, he is absolutely the number 1 quarterback in the Big Ten. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you made it this far, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Truthfully, if you disagree, completely understand. Let me know your thoughts, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thank you.